Good morning to everybody out there. Great to see you back again on this Wednesday morning. We've got a big NBA slate. Yesterday was kind of a weird slate. Lots of crazy news coming out from the Brooklyn Nets. Lots of crazy news coming out from the New York Knicks, the Toronto Raptors. I think tonight's going to be another one of those nights, guys and girls, where we're going to have to deal with a lot of crazy news. On today's NBA slate, you got COVID breaking out. It's sweeping across our nation once again, and it's starting to impact our favorite professional sports leagues, NBA included. So we're going to have to take a look at that. We're going to have to take a look at some injury news. There's going to be a lot of different things to consider that could potentially take us off of our game, shake things up, and make our decision making a little bit more difficult. For me last night, it was a little bit of a difficult slate because you just don't know with so many people ruled out. You had RJ Barrett out for New York. Obi Toppin was out for New York. Then you had James Harden was ruled out at the last minute. We all thought James Harden was going to be in, was going to be the guy, and Kevin Durant was going to be the one that was going to be sitting out. But the roles were reversed. Bruce Brown ended up sitting out. James Harden ended up sitting out. Kevin Durant ended up playing. Then later in the night, we had DeAndre Ayton, who I thought was going to be out, ended up getting ruled in and had a big game against the Portland Trailblazers. So a lot of news last night that was just shaking things up. Hopefully you were able to stay nimble, stay agile, and pivot to some of those good plays as that news broke. For me, I did a little bit of a rage bet, late night rage bet on that Portland Phoenix game. Ended up doing a 5-pick play, hit 5 out of 5 technically, but Damian Lillard ended up being a push at 4 free throws. So instead of a 10x payout, I ended up getting a 5x payout. Not the worst way to end your night, but hey, 10x would have been sweet. Anyway, appreciate everybody joining me this morning. That's my little rant about yesterday and last night and kind of what we might have to look forward to today on today's NBA slate. Good to see I Am Trash and Roblox in here. Seems like he's always first in line. I appreciate you being here. That's true dedication there. I appreciate that support. Wiggy's up in here. He says, good morning. What a day yesterday all around. Time to make some money. Love it, Wiggy. Love to hear that. Wiggy, a long-time Patreon/Discord community member. Jimmy C says, good morning. Let's make some money today. Agree with that notion. I appreciate that energy this morning. Nas, money, 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 money. Let's get it. I agree with you there. Zamir, morning to you. Said, back again. Good to see you each and every morning. Said, appreciate you continuing to show up and support, leaving your feedback, your thoughts, your favorite plays. Said, I appreciate you, my friend. Anthony, good morning to you. He says he survived yesterday thanks to Damian Lillard and DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul. Ronald's Green is back up in here again. Another Patreon member. Travis, good morning to you. Kyle, good morning. Yesterday was wild with all the news and the Brooklyn Nets. Broke even, unfortunately. Well, hey, on a slate like yesterday, breaking even can sometimes feel like a victory. So I'm glad that you didn't lose anything too crazy. Hopefully you took my advice and you listened to what I was saying yesterday about going light on slates like what we had yesterday, because you didn't want to put a whole lot of money out there on a 3-game crazy slate like that. King, good to see you. Rocket ships, yeah, hopefully we're going to go to the moon in today's live stream. JY, you are welcome. He says, let's effing go, guys. Thanks for all you do. Well, thank you for being here, JY. I appreciate you. David said he took yesterday off, and man, did that feel amazing. Rejuvenated and ready to go. I feel you, David. Sometimes you just need a day off. You need to walk away. That's kind of what I do on Saturdays, more so on Sundays. I kind of just walk away, come back Monday feeling refreshed, feeling renewed. So hopefully, David, you get back on the winning track tonight. Nick, good morning to you. Let's get after it. Gio, what's up? I've had to watch the replays lately. Shout out to the replay gang, by the way. Hashtag replay gang. I appreciate everybody who watches the replays. You guys always are there with your brooms doing cleanup duty on those likes. If we don't hit the 100 likes on the live stream, you guys are always there showing your support by liking these live streams. So I appreciate the hashtag replay gang. So shout out to you. But today, Gio is back, able to make it live. So appreciate you being here, Gio. Joe Dino, what up? Let's get after it. Andy, every time I'm on the verge of quitting PrizePicks, I end up hitting my picks. Well, keep it going, man. Let's try and build a little streak here of money-making nights for you. Good morning to you, George Delvin. Yo, what's up? Let's try to get that bag today. Blue Samples. What's up, guys? Hit the like button. You heard Blue Samples. Hit that like button if you're watching right now. Go ahead. Doesn't require any effort. Doesn't require any money or anything. You just tap that little thumbs up and, you help support the channel. I appreciate that, Blue Samples. Thanks for shouting me out there. Mind of Reese says he put in 30 bucks last night, only came away with 12. Hopefully I can make something of that tonight for sure. Put in 17 last night. Jimmy came out with 61 in profit. Anthony Taylor, what's happening, my friend? Good to see you. He's back again. Longtime YouTube supporter, Patreon supporter, Discord supporter. Speaking of Patreon, last night I just wrote up two picks last night. Just two picks last night. One was Julius Randle over 9.5 rebounds. He had a lot of good signs, positive things going for him to cover the 9.5 rebound prop against Golden State. But it did not work out. It ended up being too tough of a matchup for Julius Randle to cover that 9.5 rebound prop. But the other prop from that game that I wrote up ended up coming through in the final seconds of the game. Andrew Wiggins, who had all the opportunities, all the shots in the world against the New York Knicks, was just bricking. He was bricking a lot early in the game, throughout the game. But he came through late, finished with 18 points and covered his 16.5 point prop. So we did end up finding at least one winning pick on yesterday's Patreon post. Speaking of Patreon as well, I'm going to be doing that giveaway. Steph Curry hit 5 threes last night. I said for every three-pointer that Steph makes, I'm going to give away a $5 gift. It's not huge, but it's coming out of my own pocket here. It's real money here. I'm giving away a $5 gift to 5 different members of our Patreon community. One member for every 3 that Steph Curry made. So I'll be doing that random giveaway today, sending out some gifts to you folks who are in the Patreon community. Appreciate your support. Good morning to you, Emmanuel. Jay Busy says, been taking a lot of L's lately, hoping to get back on track. Yeah, try flexing more, try playing smaller entry sizes, maybe 2 picks, 3 picks, and running them as flex. But yeah, we'll get back on track. Today's a good day to get back on track. Boston, good morning to you. Toxic, could have been 10x all around, but James Harden, good morning, CJ. Let's get this money. Good morning to you as well, Toxic. Thanks for being here. Shout out to Wiggins on that last shot. No doubt, Jermel, no doubt. Wiggins came through big with that last-minute bucket. Cobb, good to see you this morning. And DMass asks, how do pushes work on the app? Well, basically, let's say you have a 5-pick flex entry, right? You hit 4 out of your 5 picks. That 5th pick is a push. In other words, a tie. Like for me, it was Damian Lillard's free throws that held me back. I had him at 4 free throws. He ended up with exactly 4 free throws. He missed a late free throw opportunity. He went 1 for 2 from the line. That would have put him over. Nonetheless, so if you tie on a pick, tie on an entry, then that 5-pick flex now becomes basically a 4-pick flex, which means you get a 5x payout instead of a 10x payout. So whatever it is, maybe it's a 3-pick entry, it will revert down to the next lowest entry. So a 2-pick. So a 3-pick with 1 push in there then becomes a 2-pick. So that's kind of how it works. So appreciate everybody joining me. Good to see everybody in here. JC made $150 last night. Congratulations to you. Zach's up in the building. Long time supporter. Now Zamir's asking about Kristaps Porzingis picks. Listen, PrizePicks is running a promotion today. If Kristaps Porzingis has at least 1 block or more, 1 block, all he needs is 1, any lineups, any entries that contain Kristaps Porzingis will receive a 25% payout boost, okay? Easy enough, right? Kristaps Porzingis, 1 block, as long as he's in your entry. It doesn't have to be anything special. It could be his points. It could be his rebounds. It could be his fantasy points. Just any Kristaps Porzingis prop in your entries. As long as he records 1 block tonight, you will get a 25% payout boost. So pretty cool stuff. Anyways, guys, if you're not subscribed yet, take an opportunity, hit the subscribe button now. Make sure notifications are turned on. Just ring that little bell so that anytime I go live, you're notified of it. And you don't miss any of these live streams where I help you do some player prop research here in real time. And if you don't play on PrizePicks yet, promo code Curry gets you a 100% instant deposit match on your first deposit all the way up to $100. So if you put in 100, they're matching it. They're giving you 100, starting you off with $200 to get you going over on PrizePicks. You could check out links for PrizePicks down below. You could check out links for Patreon down below, Discord down below. All the things are down in the description below. But enough of that. Let's start talking about today's NBA slate because we got a lot of injury news, a lot of illness news to discuss, and that could potentially shake things up. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Using Number Fire, we're going to be taking a look at the slate this evening. 7 p.m., Houston Rockets at Cleveland Cavaliers. This game has an implied total of 217.5. Pretty decent total. The only thing that worries me about this game is Cleveland is 9-point favorites, so definitely some blowout risk in this game. For the Houston Rockets side, we got Christian Wood as a game-time decision. Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, both continue to sit for Houston. Another one that's a new addition to the injury report is Eric Gordon, who has been playing very good basketball for the Houston Rockets. He'll miss this game. Daniel House also out for Houston. So Houston's pretty depleted. You know who I like in that case, right? Maybe some Jay Sean Tate. My man's been balling lately. Garrison Matthews been playing pretty well as well. So maybe we take a look at him. But over on the Cleveland side, Colin Sexton obviously continues to sit out. Keep an eye on Evan Mobley. He is a game-time decision as we speak. 7 p.m., a fun little game here between the Atlanta Hawks and my Orlando Magic. It's got a 223-point total. Pretty high total there. The Atlanta Hawks, the visiting team, 8-point favorites on the road. Now, for the Atlanta side, same list of names here. Hill, Bogdanovich, Hunter, Okongwu, all continue to sit out for Atlanta. Over on the Magic side, keep an eye on Mo Bamba. I do expect him to play. I do believe that he will be available tonight. I think he hurt his ankle a little bit, ended up having to exit last game a little bit early, but not too worried about him. He should be back in the lineup tonight. That should be a fun game, though, in terms of sports betting and fantasy sports. 7 p.m. also brings us the Miami Heat at Philadelphia 76ers. Man, if both of these teams had their full complement of players, in other words, Ben Simmons in for Philadelphia, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo in for Miami, Victor Oladipo in for Miami, this would be a marquee matchup. Unfortunately, not the case. There's a lot of injuries in this game. So the total, 205.5, not very high. 5.5-point spread in favor of the home team, the Philadelphia 76ers. Keep an eye on Tyler Herro. He is a game-time decision for Miami. If he sits out, then, man, Miami's just running Kyle Lowry out there. You got to feel bad for Kyle Lowry, right? He's the new guy on the team. They bring him in, kind of the missing piece, the final piece to the puzzle to get him to their championship aspirations. And then you got Bam Adebayo on the shelf, Jimmy Butler on the shelf, Oladipo's on the shelf. Ugh, sucks for you, Kyle Lowry. Anyway, Philadelphia, Seth Curry, Joel Embiid, both game-time decisions. Keep an eye on their statuses as we head into that 7 o'clock game. 7:30 brings us the Los Angeles Lakers and Dallas Mavericks. Here we go again. More injury news to consider for LA. Anthony Davis, a game-time decision. Keep an eye on AD. If the brow sits, well, you got to imagine that's a big boost for guys like Russell Westbrook and the King, LeBron James. No Malik Monk, no Dwight Howard, no THT, Talen Horton-Tucker, no Ariza, no none for LA. And then the big one from the Dallas side is going to be, of course, Luka Doncic. No Luka tonight for the Dallas Mavericks. Unfortunate. 8 p.m. brings us New Orleans at Oklahoma City, two of the worst teams in the league. Blah. But maybe there's some value here. 210.5 implied point total with the New Orleans Pelicans as 3.5-point favorites. No Zion Williamson. The guy's apparently 330 pounds right now, dealing with some pain in his surgically repaired foot. I don't know if we're going to see Zion Williamson at all this season. Why put him in there on an 8-21 record for the New Orleans Pelicans? Just doesn't make any sense. Lou Dort, though, the big one for the OKC Thunder. Most impactful injury news there. 8 p.m. Indiana Pacers at the Milwaukee Bucks. Keep an eye on Drew Holiday. I'm sorry, that's Justin Holiday, Drew's brother. Justin Holiday is a game-time decision. Warren McConnell continue to sit for Indiana. Over on the Milwaukee side, Chris Middleton got into a little foul trouble, but then he ended up hyperextending his knee in the last game versus Boston. He is a game-time decision. If he sits out, then yes, Drew Holiday. And of course, Giannis, no, Giannis won't be in either. Are you telling me Giannis is out? No Giannis Antetokounmpo, no DeMarcus Cousins. Now, there was some chatter that Dante DiVincenzo would be reactivated on Wednesday, which is today. So maybe we get Dante DiVincenzo back. They got a long list of injuries here. Wes Matthews, Ojale, Brook Lopez out. So somebody's going to have to step up. Maybe it's a Drew Holiday type of night. We'll have to see. Bobby Portis would be another awesome option. 8:30 p.m. Charlotte Hornets at San Antonio Spurs. Mason Plumlee, game time decision. Ish Smith, LaMelo Ball continue to sit. So the guard rotation for the Charlotte Hornets still impacted with that COVID stuff. 228 points is the implied total here with just a 3-point spread, guys. This is going to be a game that is going to be chock full of DFS and player prop goodness here. This might be one you want to take some overs on, liking the way that game's shaping up. And then 9 p.m. Minnesota T-Wolves at Denver Nuggets. D'Angelo Russell, game time decision. Obviously, that would be huge if he ends up sitting out for Denver. Will Barton, Austin Rivers, both game time decisions. This game has a 220-point implied total with a 4.5 spread favoring Denver. This should be a fun matchup between Jokic and Karl Anthony Towns, two of the better big men in the league. 10 p.m. Washington Wizards, Sacramento Kings, Kyle Kuzma, game time decision. Biggest news there. Rashawn Holmes, maybe he works his way back into the lineup for the Sacramento Kings. He's also a game time decision. Another game with a sky-high total, 225 points, just a 1-point spread. So that could be another fun one to target some overs. 10 p.m., Memphis Grizzlies at Portland. Portland on a back-to-back after playing a tough Phoenix squad going into overtime. Be careful. Maybe fatigue plays a factor for this Portland Trail Blazers team. We know Portland's not going to have C.J. McCollum, and we know that Memphis is not going to have Ja Morant. So two big pieces missing from what could have been a very special matchup. But the late night hammer brings us the Los Angeles Clippers at the Utah Jazz. 216.5 points, but we've got a 9.5-point spread in favor of the home team, the Utah Jazz. So definitely be careful here. This has blowout potential written all over it, especially if the likes of Nick Batum and Paul George sit out. They are both game time decisions. No Serge Ibaka for LA as well. So that's it, man. That's a lot of news, a lot of injuries, a lot of people in, a lot of people out, but especially a lot of people out. So keep an eye on that injury news as we go on throughout the day. Yep, I'm seeing it. Giannis, COVID, unfortunate, man. Unfortunate. COVID taking over the freaking sports world right now. You hate to see that. You hate to see it. Anyway, let's get into some player props, guys. We got quite a few names up on the board. Let's just go ahead and refresh this PrizePicks board, see if they snuck anything in behind me. If you want, yeah, we'll start with some points. We got a lot of points to talk about. All right, we got a lot of points to talk about. Let's do some points first and foremost here. Now, I've been using this little tool here, completely free. It's on Fantasy Pros. You can go ahead and check it out. You can change the game recency from full season, last 7 games, last 15, last 30. I like to look at the last 7 games to kind of help me get an idea of, how defenses are doing in different single stat player props. So we're going to take a look at that and see who's given up the most points, rebounds, assists, 3-point makes, and so on to the various positions. So let's start things off here with some player props that kind of caught my eye. The first one is going to be Trae Young versus the Orlando Magic at 27.5 points. Now, over his last 10 games, he has been covering 27.5 points in 80% of his games. In the last 5, 60%. So things are starting to drop off a little bit, but he's got 3 straight games where he's went for 29 or more points. He hung 41 up on the Houston Rockets. The Orlando Magic, not a very tough team defensively, especially at the guard position. So let's go to the point guard position here. We could take a look and see how many points Orlando's giving up to opposing point guards in the last 7 games. And folks, they rank number 1. They're giving up over 28 points per game to opposing point guards. That is the most points per game given up to point guards in the last 7 games. Number 1 in the league. It's embarrassing for me as a Magic fan, but look, this is a great situation, a great matchup for Trae Young. So decent hit rate in the last 10. Not too bad in the last 5 either. Let's go ahead and pull up a projection for Trae Young. And for that, we're going to be using Action Labs. They've got some pretty decent projections, some pretty good player prop projection tools on there. And at 27.5 points, we got Trae Young projected for 27.6, putting him slightly, ever so slightly, over the 27.5 marker. And you could see out on some of these books here, minus 118, a betting favorite to go over 27.5. So you got to love the matchup here. You got to love the hit rates for Trae Young in the last 10 and the last 5. His average is sitting right around 30 points per game in his last 5 games. I just think this is going to be a good spot for Trae Young. Now on the flip side, Cole Anthony, my boy, Cole Anthony. This dude right here, starting to become one of my favorite players on the Orlando Magic. He's got the green light to fire away. He is our leading scorer, and I expect him to get back to business tonight as well. Now, in his last 10 games, a 70% hit rate for Cole Anthony at 20.5 points. You can see things get a little bit better here in his last 5 games. Last 5 games, 80% hit rate, averaging over 22 points per game. He's faced some pretty tough teams in here too. The Clippers, pretty tough defensive unit. Now, he did struggle against Golden State here with just 9, but you look at the rest of these games here, man. My man Cole Anthony playing some high-level hoops, y'all. So let's go take a look at this matchup here. The Atlanta Hawks, we don't have to go very far down this list. In the last 7 games, they're giving up over 26 points per game to opposing point guards. So that's why I like this game in terms of some daily fantasy sports or some player props. You got Cole Anthony in a plus matchup versus Atlanta. You got Trae Young in a plus matchup versus Orlando. I think both of these point guards make for some enticing little picks here. Let's pull up a projection on Mr. Cole Anthony. Back to Action Labs we go. We got him projected for 20.8 points. And much like Trae Young, that is a slight favorite for the over. And then at 20.5 out on your favorite sports book, he is a betting favorite at minus 116 to go over. So high hit rates for both Trae Young and Cole Anthony. You saw what the defenses for both of these teams are giving up to opposing point guards when we're talking about points. Orlando giving up the first most points per game in the last 7 games to the point guard position. Atlanta right behind him, giving up the 4th most points per game to the point guard position. So I think both of these guys make for very intriguing options when it comes to taking overs on some player props. Another guy that's been hitting at a very high rate is Jarrett Allen of the Cleveland Cavaliers. He gets a pretty soft matchup tonight against the Houston Rockets. Jarrett Allen over his last 10 games at 17.5 points, a 70% hit rate. Another guy who's been getting it done. Over the last 5 games, 60% hit rate, still good, not great, but good. And he's averaging about 19 points per game in that span. So let's go take a look at the Houston Rockets here, see how many points per game that they give up to the center position in the last 7 games. We don't have to go too far down the list. They're, sitting right around the top 10, giving up about 23.3 points per game to the center position in the last 7 games. So decent matchup here for Jarrett Allen. We'll head on back over to Action Labs and we'll pull up a projection for Jarrett Allen, and he's projected for 16.1. So maybe tonight isn't a good night to take the over on Jarrett Allen, especially if there's a blowout. I mean, I don't really see anybody from Houston stepping in Jarrett Allen's way or anything that's going to slow him down or stop him, but the public is betting the under here, minus 118, minus 120 out on a couple of the popular sports books. So don't know if I like Jarrett Allen quite as much as the point guards we talked about, but nonetheless, still looks like a pretty solid option if you want to go there. Let's see. Who else do we want to look at here? Let's look at some low hit rate guys. We've talked about Darius Bazley in the past. Is he up on the board today? He sure is. In his last 10 games at 10.5 points, he's covered in just 10% of his games. Is it time to go under on Darius Bazley once again? If you've been tuned in and plugged into these shows, you know that going under on Darius Bazley's points has worked out more often than not. But there is a caveat tonight. No Lou Dort for the Oklahoma City Thunder. How does that impact Darius Bazley and company? Not really sure, but what you can do is go out to Google. Google Court IQ by Roto Grinders. Okay, Court IQ, Roto Grinders. Google that. And then you go and you take Lou Dort out of the lineup, off the court, in other words, for the Oklahoma City Thunder. You hit run query and you'll get results back. And you'll be able to see who benefits the most with Lou Dort out of the lineup. And you could do that for all of the different scenarios, whether they be injuries, illnesses, or whatever. You can do this for all the teams. You could take out players who aren't going to play tonight, who have already been ruled out tonight. You could kind of see how their absence impacts the rest of the roster. So Darius Bazley, 10.5 points. Talked about a 10% hit rate in his last 10 games. Just a 20% hit rate rather in his last 5 games, averaging just 8.8 points going up against New Orleans tonight. So let's go take a look at New Orleans and see how they do at defending against opposing small forwards in the last, 7 game span I think we're looking at here. We go all the way down the list, just giving up 17.7 points per game. Look at this, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7th fewest points per game to opposing small forwards. So this is going to be a tough matchup for Darius Bazley based on how well the New Orleans Pelicans have been doing in terms of limiting small forwards and their point production. So let's get you a projection on Bazley here. I've got Bazley projected for 13.6 points. I don't know if I believe that. Sometimes these projections can be, not the most accurate thing in the world. They never have a 100% accuracy rate or anything like that. But I would say cross-reference his point projection on some of these other sites. Bazley, we know historically, has not been a very good scorer for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But maybe without Lou Dort in the lineup, Bazley takes on a little bit of a bigger scoring role. Maybe he attempts more shots. That doesn't mean he's going to make them. Come on. Bazley's not a shooter. He's not a scorer. I'm just throwing it out there. Now at 10.5 points, we're seeing him at -115 under out on DK Sportsbook. So somebody out there is taking the under on Bazley, and for good reason. Dude's just not scoring the basketball very well. All right, there you go. Got you a couple of overs, got you an under to look at. Let's move on to the next category here. For that, we're going to slide on over to the rebound prop category for PrizePicks and take a look at some of the highest hitting rebounders, the guys that are covering their props, going over their player props for rebounds night in and night out. And we'll take a look at the lower guys too, the guys that aren't covering. Maybe they should be options you should consider taking the under on. Appreciate all of you joining me this morning. If you're just now getting here, we're slapping likes on today's video. I don't know if you've heard, but we're hitting that like button. And if you're not hitting the like button, you're not like part of the squad. Don't you want to be part of this squad? The like button squad? Go ahead, hit that like button if you haven't yet. All right, let's take a look at some of these rebounds, folks. Again, this little tool here, pretty helpful, man. Fantasy Pros giving this out for free. You got to love it. Got to love it. Let's take a look at some of the guys who have been covering their rebound prop. Now, we talked about this young man already. But he's not up on PrizePicks. And the guy that I'm talking about is Trae Young at 3.5 rebounds. If you could get Trae Young at 3.5 rebounds out on your favorite prop picking website, I would say definitely consider taking the over on Trae Young at 3.5 boards. There's a reason why PrizePicks hasn't included him today, because in the last 10 games, Trae Young has a 90% hit rate at 3.5 rebounds. Yet, the sportsbooks continue to keep him at 3.5 instead of bumping him up to 4.5. So if you get Trae Young's rebounds at 3.5, definitely consider it. Another guy that we should talk about, though, that is up on the PrizePicks board in a pretty decent game here in terms of total matchup, is Darius Garland at 2.5 rebounds. Not 2.5 boards, 80% hit rate, surprisingly, in his last 10 games. So he's getting it done on the glass. You don't typically think about Darius Garland as like a high hit rate rebound type of guard, but he's quietly getting it done. So maybe we should consider Darius Garland here versus this Houston Rockets squad. So what we could do is head back over here to this little helpful tool. We'll go to the rebound column. We will sort by rebounds allowed, the most rebounds allowed. And then we go down and we find the Houston Rockets. Now, where are they at? They're down here kind of low, giving up about 5.8 rebounds per game to opposing point guards. Look, that's enough for me to take a shot here on Darius Garland. No, they're not at the top of the list here, giving up like 9 rebounds per game like the Oklahoma City Thunder are to point guards, but they're giving up 5.8. All we need is 3 rebounds. So Garland, he may not get all the rebounds for the point guards on Cleveland, but as long as he gets like 3 of them, I think we're in good shape, right? So I think this is a decent look here with the high hit rates for Darius Garland, 80% in his last 5 games. Let's head back over to Action Labs. We'll click the rebound category. We'll type in Darius Garland's name. And looky, I think we should definitely be considering the over here. 2.8 projected rebounds, but at 2.5 out on DK Sportsbook, a -140 betting favorite to go over. -140 to go over at 2.5. I don't expect this to stay at 2.5 all day long. If it does, good for us. But if it goes up to 3, you've been warned. You should go ahead and probably take it if you like it. Definitely do a little more research. You know, you gotta do your due diligence on these player props. What I'm telling you here is just the beginning, should be just the beginning of your player prop research. But hopefully, I've put you on a decent play here with Darius Garland at just 2.5 boards. Looks like a pretty smooth spot here. Let's see who else we have here. Josh Giddey's another guy that maybe we could consider. at 5.5 rebounds in his last 10 games. Covered this in 70% of the games. We already talked about no Lou Dort. Maybe Josh Giddey benefits from not having Lou Dort around. Now, the 10-game hit rates are pretty good. The last 5, not so good. But the last 2 games, he's kind of got back on track here. 7 boards against the Lakers, 7 against Dallas. So maybe that's a trend or a sign of things to come. Let's take a look at Josh Giddey in this matchup. He's kind of a, I don't know, how would you describe Giddey? Shooting guard, small forward, kind of a combo guard type of player. He's facing off against the New Orleans Pelicans tonight, so let's go find the Pels. They're giving up about 7 boards per game to the shooting guard position, which puts them inside the top 10. So top 10 most rebounds allowed in the last 7 games to the shooting guard position. There you find New Orleans sitting right around 7 boards per game. So let's go get you a projection on Josh Giddey. We were riding some Josh Giddey overs earlier in the season. Things have kind of cooled off for him, but we look at him today, he's projected for 6.1 rebounds according to the Action Labs player prop projection tool. 6.1 obviously puts him over 5.5, a pretty healthy number at 6.1. And then at 5.5, out on your favorite sportsbook, minus 140 odds to go over. He is a big betting favorite to go over 5.5 without Lou Dort around. So Josh Giddey definitely has shown some rebound upside in the past. In the last couple of games, he's been getting it done as well. Maybe you go back to Josh Giddey against the Pelicans, who are giving up quite a few rebounds to the guard position. Kyle says they just moved Jarrett Allen's points up from 16.5 because he has been automatic the past month. Well, yeah, we knew that Jarrett Allen wouldn't stay down there at like 15.5, 16.5 forever, right? Eventually, they're going to adjust. I'm surprised that they haven't adjusted Trae Young's rebounds yet with the high hit rates. I mean, that's one that really stood out to me. But yeah, Jarrett Allen has been getting it done, both on in points and on rebounds. So you could also consider his rebounds. What's up to DFS Whispers? Appreciate you. Thanks for the shout out. He wants to get this money. I think I want to get some money tonight too. So hopefully we're getting close to doing that. Other guys to maybe consider, we got to talk about Clint Capella, right? He's going up against a pretty friendly Orlando Magic front court. Sounds like Mo Bamba will play for Orlando. They've also got Wendell Carter Jr., another one of my favorite players on this young Orlando Magic team. So we got Wendell Carter Jr. and we've got Mo Bamba trying to slow down Clint Capella tonight. Clint Capella's at 13.5 rebounds. Now, in Capella's last 10 games, he's covered 13.5 boards at a 70% hit rate. So very high hit rate for him. Things get even better when we look at the last 5 games. An 80% hit rate for Clint Capella, averaging 14.6 rebounds per game, which puts him over 13.5. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this matchup against Orlando. I told you that it's a good one. Let's see if the numbers back that up. So we go down here, Orlando giving up the 7th most rebounds per game in the last 7 games to the center position, 16.7 rebounds allowed to opposing centers. So yes, this is a plus matchup for Clint Capella's rebounds. Let's go take a look at the projections for Capella using Action Labs. There's nothing up yet. Let's go ahead and refresh. Maybe they've updated their player props here. We'll refresh, see if we could pull a projection for Clint Capella. Boom. There he is. 13.9. So almost 14 projected rebounds tonight. And at 13.5 out on your favorite sports book, he is a minus 120 betting favorite to go over. So I like the matchup here. I like the hit rates both for 10 and 5 games for Clint Capella. He's been getting it done. And I like the fact that he's projected to go over, and he's a betting favorite to go over here against this young Orlando Magic team. I think Capella is in a good spot to potentially eat. So there's some good over options for you. Let's take a look at some of the guys who aren't getting it done. You got Kyle Lowry at 4.5 rebounds. I don't know that we love Kyle Lowry in terms of rebounds most nights. Let's just take a look at him real quick. I could see why you would want to go under here. In his last 5 games, he is hitting 0% hit rate in his last 5 games at 4.5 rebounds. Not only that, but he's averaging less than 3 rebounds per game. Now, over his last 10 games, a 20% hit rate. So things are just very ugly here for Kyle Lowry. I'm not taking any overs on Kyle Lowry's rebounds. I'll tell you that much. We'll go to the point guard position. We'll go over to rebounds and find the Philadelphia 76ers, which is tonight's matchup. Sixers in the last 7 games, kind of a middle of the pack, but down toward the bottom in terms of rebounds allowed to opposing point guards. So this is not a plus rebound matchup for Kyle Lowry against Philly. Let's get you a projection on Kyle Lowry's boards. He's not up yet. Kyle Lowry's not up yet. Maybe they're waiting on the Tyler Hero news, but I don't have a projection for you on Kyle Lowry just yet. Definitely check out some of the other sites we've talked about in the past. That could be NumberFire, RotoWire, Betting Pros. There's a number of other free tools out there that you can access. And for me, I think Kyle Lowry at 4.5 boards makes for a strong option for an underplay. If you're wanting to play unders, I know overs are, a lot more fun to cheer on overs, but you could take an under on Kyle Lowry's rebounds. Appreciate you guys joining the live stream this morning. We got a bunch of you in here, but I see that there's a lot of you who haven't hit the like button yet. You know what you must do, right? You gotta hit that like button. I think we're dropping some pretty darn good props on your head this AM this morning. So slap that like button if you're liking what I'm putting down. All right, we got to talk about some assists. Who are the top dime droppers? Who are the guys that are not getting it done? Well, they've got my boy Franz Wagner back up again. Mr. Franz Wagner's at 3 assists today. We're seeing him at 3.5 assists out on your favorite sports book. Wagner at 3.5 assists in his last 10 games. 80% hit rate, guys. 80%. 8 out of his last 10 games, he's gone over 3.5 assists. We're getting him at 3 today. He's averaging 4 assists per game in his last 5 games. It's been a little bit of a struggle in the last 2. The Clippers, he had 3. Lakers, he had 2. But overall, 4 assists per game in his last 5 games. So I'm not mad at Mr. Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner. We know this game's going to have a pretty high total tonight. Let's go take a look at this matchup against the Atlanta Hawks. See how many assists per game they've been giving up to the small forward position in their last 7. We got to go down a ways here. They're not giving up too many. 3.5 assists. So 3.5 assists. Wagner's at 3. Now, this could be difficult. This matchup doesn't look like the easiest. The Atlanta Hawks kind of stingy, kind of greedy when it comes to giving up assists to opposing small forwards. Now, if you consider Gary Harris maybe more that small forward and you consider Franz Wagner maybe a shooting guard, we could go take a look at the shooting guard position and see how many assists Atlanta gives up to opposing shooting guards. It's not a whole lot better, but 3.9, almost 4 assists per game to opposing shooting guards. So kind of gives you an idea, 3.5 to 4 assists per game given up to the shooting guard / small forward position by this Atlanta Hawks squad over the last 7 games. So let's go back over to the assists here. We will pull up Franz Wagner. He is projected for exactly 3 assists, which would put him in a tie or push situation. So I don't know. Are we cooling off? Are we cooling the jets on Franz Wagner? He struggled a little bit in the last 2 games to cover his assist prop, but he's at 3 today. He's at 3 today instead of 3.5. At 3.5 out on your favorite sportsbook, minus 145 to go under. All right. High hit rate in the last 10. Struggling a little bit in the last 5. Projected for exactly 3. This game should be high scoring and stay somewhat close, at least through 3 quarters, I would say. So there you go. Looks like Tyler Hero has been ruled out according to the Nacho Man, Sandy Cabbage. Ooh, yeah. Thank you, Nacho, for dropping that tidbit into the stream, brother. Appreciate you, Nacho Man. Tyler Hero is ruled out. Love it. What you guys think about that Macho Man Randy Savage impression, right? Spot on. Ooh, yeah. There you go, Nacho. That's for you, buddy. Thanks for dropping that little nugget into the live stream. Let's look at some other guys who have been hitting their assist props pretty well. Cole Anthony, we talked about his points. He's not up on the board for the Orlando Magic. I wish he was, because at 5.5 assists, 70% hit rate in his last 10 games. We're not going to see any Cole world in terms of assists. Joe Val's another one at 2.5 assists. I wish we had him up on the board. Joe Val's actually dropping some dimes, man. So I like some Jonas Valanciunas. A guy that I played the other night is Tyrese Halliburton at 5.5 assists. Today he's at 4.5. Not seeing him up on the PrizePicks board, but he's got a pretty high hit rate. They're keeping a lot of the good assist props away from us tonight. Monty Morris not up here either. He's got a high hit rate at 3.5 assists. 70% of the time he's covering that in the last 10 games. No De'Aaron Fox. So we got to wait and see. Maybe PrizePicks drops some more assists on us throughout the night. But overall, not seeing a whole lot that I love. Mind of Reese says, impeccable Macho Man impression. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. I got to get me some of them Aaron Jones from the Green Bay Packers. He's got them Macho Man sunglasses and a cowboy hat, and that'll really set it off. And then the only thing I need after that, the Slim Jim, right? Let's look at some of the lowest assist guys. Trae Young, do we want to go under on Trae Young tonight? He's at 10.5 out on most of the sports books. He's at 10 over on PrizePicks. A lot of action coming in on the under for Trae Young, so PrizePicks has went ahead, taking him down from 10.5 down to 10. You can see in his last 5 games at 10 assists, he's hit 10 or more in 80% of his games. He's actually averaging 11 assists per game in his last 5. I don't know that I feel super comfortable going under on Trae Young tonight, but just for argument's sake, let's go back here and look at the matchup. Point guards versus Orlando. Let's see how many assists per game Orlando's giving up to opposing point guards. Wow. Surprisingly, they are limiting opposing PGs to just 7.6 assists per game. So they're actually one of the more stingier teams, one of the 10th strongest teams in terms of assists per games to opposing point guards. So this might be a tough matchup for Trae Young to hit 10 or more assists here. Let's pull up a projection on Ice Trae. We talked about liking the over on his points. His assists today are set at exactly 10. Exactly 10. So much like Franz Wagner of the Orlando Magic, who's projected for exactly 3, this could end up in a tie. This could end up in a push situation. We're seeing him at 9.5 assists. At 9.5 assists on your favorite sportsbook, minus 150 on the over at 9.5. So if you're able to get him at 9.5 assists, I'd say take the over. But if you're getting him at 10 or 10.5 assists, you might want to consider the under on this matchup against Orlando. They have actually done a pretty decent job at limiting assists. All right, let's go to the last category, 3-point makes. Again, appreciate everybody joining me. Blue Sample says, yo, CJ, not gonna lie, the impression was spot on, but you caught me off guard, bro. Hey, listen, I grew up as one of them kids in the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, who was watching that WWF, that WCW, the NWO. I was all into all that, man. All into all of that. Macho Man was my guy. One of my few guys. You know, there was some other guys that I liked too, you know. I was a HBK, Shawn Michaels fan. I was Bret the Hitman Hart fan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, you know, all those guys. But anyway, back to the basketball stuff. 3-point makes. Let's see who we have up on the board today. We're not going to get Aaron Gordon. If you can get him out there, though, at just a half of a 3-point make. This dude has been clapping those 3-point props 80% of the time in his last 10 games. He has hit. Gary Harris of the Orlando Magic, not going to get him up on the board either. Trae Young, probably one of the options you could go with. We talked about liking his points. If you want an alternative way to play Trae Young tonight, maybe you don't like his points, consider the 3-point makes. At 2.5 3-point makes, he's covered this prop in 70% of his games in the last 10. And then in the last 5, a 60% hit rate. Going up against the Orlando Magic, we talked about their defense, not very good against opposing point guards. So we go to the 3-point make category. Orlando giving up over 3-point makes in the last 7 games to opposing point guards. That's a top 6. The 6th most giving in the last 7 games in terms of 3-point makes and the point guard position. So definitely a plus 3-point matchup for Trae Young. Plus point matchup, plus 3-point matchup for Trae Young. He should have a good night tonight against Orlando. I'm just saying, he should. Nothing's guaranteed, but he should. Looking at Trae Young's 3-point prop, he's projected for 2.5 3-point makes. And at 2.5 3-point makes on your favorite sports book, minus 140, betting favorite to go over. I think if I was taking the over, the under on Trae Young, I'd have to also take the over as well. I expect him and Cole Anthony to put on a nice little point guard duel tonight. All right. Another guy that's been getting it done here at a pretty high clip is Monty Morris. Not a household name, not a sexy name, not a guy that we click the overs on or click any of his props very often, but we have to start giving him a little bit of respect because in the last 10 games, he's covered 1.5 3-point makes in 70% of those contests. Now, he's also riding this little 5-game streak of going over 1.5 3-point makes, right? You look at his game logs here, 3, 3, 4, and 3. I mean, there's games where he's hitting, not just 1 over his prop, but 2 or 3 higher than his prop, right? So Monte Morris definitely shooting the ball very well. He's facing off against the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight, so we can look at the 3-point make category for point guards. Go down here, find Minnesota. They're actually pretty low down the list here. They're allowing, though, 2.1 3-point makes to opposing point guards. Now, Monte Morris, not a pure point guard. He's kind of that combo guard, right? So let's look at the shooting guard position. That's where things really look good here for Monte Morris. If you think Monte Morris fits more of that shooting guard bill, well, then Monte Morris at just 1.5 threes, the Minnesota Timberwolves giving up nearly 5 3-point makes per game. 5 3-point makes per game to opposing guards. Now, especially if we have Will Barton out again tonight, then I definitely would say take a shot on some Monte Morris here. Let's pull a projection up for Morris. I got Morris projected for 1.6 3-point makes, and I'm seeing some action on the over at -125. So dude's been hot. 5 straight games, 100% hit rate. Great matchup for shooting guards in terms of 3-point makes allowed by the Minnesota T-Wolves. So maybe Monte Morris is one of those under-the-radar, low-key, decent options to play an over on his 1.5 3-point makes. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of Kristaps Porzingis props, because obviously we have Kristaps Porzingis is up on the promo board, I guess you could call it, today for PrizePicks. In case you haven't heard, if Kristaps Porzingis, any of his player props are in your entries today, and he records at least one block tonight against the Lakers, you're going to get a 25% payout boost, right? So we're definitely going to want to take advantage of that, maybe play some Kristaps Porzingis props. Let's try to find what look like the best KP6 props to put in your entries on PrizePicks today. So we got him at 21.5 points going up against the Lakers. We've already talked about it. No Luka Doncic tonight. Are the Lakers a team that we can attack with opposing power forward / center like players, guys like Kristaps Porzingis? Let's go take a look at the points allowed by the Los Angeles Lakers in the last 7 games. They're giving up about 21.1, so not a super strong edge here on Kristaps Porzingis. 21.5 is his number today. Let's pull up a projection on KP6 and his points prop, and we'll head back to Action Labs to do this. Porzingis, don't know if I love this. 20.2 is his projection. 20.2 is his projection. We're not seeing any action on the over or the under at 21.5. All right. So I don't know if I love the point prop for Kristaps Porzingis here. The Lakers are typically a team that you can attack with opposing guards. Kristaps, not really a guard. If we look at the center position, sometimes Porzingis slots into the center position. Let's see how many points per game they're giving up to opposing big men, opposing centers. Lakers, again, down at the bottom here. They're kind of tough inside. 18.5 points. For me, this is going to be, we know Dwight Howard's out, right? Is Anthony Davis going to play? Not sure. If Anthony Davis is out, Dwight Howard's out, then they get a lot weaker inside. And I think Kristaps Porzingis might be able to take advantage of that. But we got to wait and see on Anthony Davis and his status. So let's go look at Kristaps Porzingis and his rebound prop. He's at 8.5 boards today. The last 5 games, he has covered 8.5 rebounds in 2 out of 5. So that's a 40% hit rate. His rebound average, just 7.6 in the last 5 games. So again, we'll look at the power forward position. We'll go to the rebounds allowed by the Los Angeles Lakers in their last 7 games. All right, this one's looking a little bit better. They're giving up 11.9, almost 12 rebounds per game to opposing power forwards. So this is definitely a plus matchup. That means that the Lakers are giving up the 7th most rebounds per game to power forwards in the last 7 games. All right, let's see how the Lakers do against the center position. How many rebounds per game they're giving up there in the last 7. A lot stingier, but still 12.7 boards. We just need 9 out of Kristaps Porzingis today. So overall, not looking too bad here. Let's pull up a projection on Porzingis and his rebounds, because I'm sure you guys want to know. I'm sure you guys are going to want to lock in some Kristaps Porzingis props to take advantage of tonight's 25% payout boost. So he is projected for 8.8 boards, and at 8.5 out on the DK Sportsbook, a -135 betting favorite for the over. So far, out of his points and his rebounds, I think I have to favor the rebounds, right? More so than the points, according to the projections, the way that people are betting their cold hard cash on the Kristaps Porzingis props, and the matchup. Looking a lot friendlier for him to grab 9 boards than it is for him to score 22 points. So I'm liking that. Do we have Porzingis up for assists? We do. He's at 2 assists. This prop in his last 5 games, looking a little dicey here. 2.2 assists per game in his last 5 games. That's just a, technically 60% hit rate at 2 or more. So not terrible. Not terrible. I don't know how his assists are impacted with Luka Doncic out. That's where that Court IQ free tool by RotoGrinders can help out. Go to Court IQ, or go to Google, type in Court IQ, RotoGrinders, and then take Luka Doncic out of the equation and see if Kristaps Porzingis assists go above 2 or below 2 without him in the lineup. Let's go look at the Lakers in terms of how many assists they allow to both power forward and center positions. Going down the list here, Lakers pretty low, or unless I missed them. Where are they? Oh, there they are. Yep, pretty low. Giving up about 3 assists per game to opposing power forwards. Now, that's not to say that Porzingis is going to get all 3 of the assists that they have allowed per game in the last 7. Let's look at the center position. Lakers giving up about 2.6 assists per game. So somewhere between 2.5, 3 assists per game to the power forward and center positions. Let's pull up a projection for Porzingis and his assists. I got him projected for 2.1. And at 2.5 assists, he is a -155. -155 to go under 2.5. So I think you probably end up in a tie or a push situation on Kristaps Porzingis here. I'd probably take the over, gun to head kind of situation, take the over, and maybe you end up in a tie or a push. So with that one out of the way, let's look at his 3-point prop. He's at 2 3-point makes. Over the last 5 games, he's hit 2 or more in 60% of his games. His average, however, just 1.6 3-point makes. Let's go back to the Lakers and see how many 3-point makes per game to opposing power forwards in the last 7 games that they're giving up. They're giving up about 2.5 3-point makes to power forwards, which would put him obviously more than 2, assuming that Kristaps gets all of these 2.5 3-point makes. And then we'll go take a look at the center position and see how many threes that the Lakers are giving up to opposing centers. We go down here. They're giving up about 0.75 3-point makes to opposing centers. So let's pull up a projection for Kristaps Porzingis and his 3-point makes. He's at 2, exactly 2 3-point makes. -190 under 2.5 3-point makes out on your favorite sports book, which is why PrizePicks took him from 2.5 down to 2 and posted him up there. So this could be another push or tie type of situation here. Now, last but not least, PrizePicks is unique because you can also play a player's fantasy score. Kristaps today is at 42 fantasy points. In his last 5 games, he's gone over this number in 2 out of 5. That's a 40% hit rate for Porzingis. So let's head over to Fantasy Pros. We click the power forward position. We come over here to FanDuel points because FanDuel points, PrizePicks points in terms of fantasy points, exactly the same. They use the same scoring. So we go down, we find the Los Angeles Lakers. They're actually giving up over 47 fantasy points per game to opposing power forwards. So I would say that this is a plus matchup here for Kristaps Porzingis. If we look at the center position, because sometimes Porzingis, again, does play the center role for the Dallas Mavericks, especially if Willie Cauley-Stein's out tonight. They're going to need, as many big bodies as they can. We go all the way down to the bottom, and the Lakers are giving up about 42.5 points per game to opposing centers. That's the second fewest in the last 7 games. So hopefully Porzingis plays more of that power forward role tonight and less of that center role. Let's pull up a projection for Porzingis and his fantasy points. I've got him projected for 39.5, which would put him under 42 fantasy points. I don't know that I want to take the under on Porzingis. For me, the favorite prop that kind of stood out amongst all of them is probably going to be his rebounds at 8.5. Don't mind you taking a shot on the over, but hopefully that helps you with your decision making on this Kristaps Porzingis promo. Again, he just has to record 1 block or more, one block or more in tonight's game against the Lakers. And as long as you have him, any of his props in your entries, you'll get a 25% payout boost if that entry ends up being a winning one. Whew. I've said a lot. We've talked about a lot. Let's go ahead and take some questions. Start leaving me some of your favorite props. I'm not going to scroll all the way back up to the top of the chat. Start leaving them now, though, all right? Start leaving them now while I drink some of this water. You guys are saying Kristaps Porzingis props look like a trap tonight. I'm going to start things off with my man Ryan Schneider leaving Nikola Jokic assists at 7.5. He says it looks nice. What say you, chat? What say you? Do you like some Nikola Jokic at 7.5 assists? Let's go take a look at it real quick. Jokic in his last 5 games has gone over 7.5 assists in 5 straight games. So I could see why Ryan is liking this prop tonight. He's averaging 10.6 assists per game in this 5-game span. So things are looking pretty juicy here so far for Nikola Jokic. We're going to head on over here, look at the center position, go to the assist column, and find the Minnesota Timberwolves. Timberwolves give up 4.5 assists per game to opposing centers. Now, I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but this is no average, ordinary center, right? This is probably the #1 assisting center in the entire NBA. So we got to consider that. Let's look at more so where the T-Wolves have ranked in terms of assists allowed to opposing centers versus the number itself. And in this case, they rank 7th most in the last 7 games in assists allowed per game to opposing centers. So this is definitely a plus matchup, plus assist situation or spot here for Nikola Jokic. So let's pull up a projection for Jokic. I got him projected for 7.7, slightly more than 7.5, and the action is at -145 over 7.5. Pretty strong odds there, -145 over 7.5 assists. So yes, Ryan, I think I'm on board. We could look at some Nikola Jokic over assists. Don't mind that one at all. Let's see what else you guys are liking this morning. Appreciate you, Ryan. Kind of lost my spot there. Joe Val over on rebounds. JC's liking some Jonas Valanciunas over on rebounds. Let's go take a look at him. He is at 11.5. Now I know in recent streams, recent shows, we have attacked the Oklahoma City Thunder with quality big men. And I would say that Jonas Valanciunas is a quality big man. Now at 11.5 boards, guys, look at these numbers here in his last 5 games. 11, 10, 11, 11, 12. He is like Mr. Consistent right there at 11 to 12 or 10 to 12 rebounds per game. So we got to go look at this matchup, see if OKC has finally kind of plugged that hole in terms of rebounds allowed to opposing big men in their last 7 games. And no. The answer is no, they have not. They have done far from plugging that hole. They're giving up 17.4 rebounds per game to opposing centers in the last 7 games, which is the 6th most. The 6th most. So yes, this is a good spot to go back to Jonas Valanciunas here. Go over on 11.5 rebounds. So far, the matchup is looking very good, very enticing here. I've got him projected for 13.7 rebounds today, putting him over by 2.2 boards. Now the money, a little concerning here, is coming in on the under at 11.5 and -125 to go under at 11.5 rebounds. But I'm thinking this matchup and these projections are just looking too darn good. He's Mr. Consistent. It might be a sweat. It very well could be a sweat. See, there's a lot of games here where he finishes with 11 boards. 11, 11, 11. 3 out of his last 5, he's finished with 11. Death by the hook? Is it in your future? Does he end up with 11 or does he go over and find 12? I think I'm going to take my chances here on Jonas Valanciunas in this prime matchup. I don't mind you taking the over there. I think that's a good spot. Nice call out, JC. Diedrich says, can you show us an example of roto grinders? I will show you the Court IQ tool here. It's free. Doesn't cost you any money. You just go out there and you fire this bad boy up. You pick your favorite team. So what was one of the teams we talked about? Dallas Mavericks. Let's do them because we know Luka Doncic is going to be out tonight. So we just click off. That means Luka's going to be off this report, off the court, off the floor this season. All right. And then we click run. And make sure you're using FanDuel's projections. Now this is selected on per 36 minutes. So this is assuming that everybody you see on this report were to play 36 minutes, which is about kind of the, league average in terms of minutes. One thing that I would tell you to consider, look at the sample size here, which is the amount of minutes that these players have been on the court without Luka Doncic on the court. So obviously Kristaps Porzingis is going to be the man of the night with this promo that they're running. So in 267 minutes on the court without Luka Doncic this season, pending Porzingis plays 36 minutes tonight, he's averaged 25 points per game. 49 fantasy points per game, 2.4 blocks per game, 10.24 rebounds per game, 2 3-point makes per game. So for me, I'm off the 3-point makes, just looking at this report. 10.2 rebounds, though, at 8.5. I think we go rebounds. I mean, it looked like the best spot anyway, right? In terms of projections, in terms of where the money was coming in. So that kind of gives you an idea of maybe what to expect. It's not guaranteed by any means. Another thing you could do to kind of get a more accurate idea, click per minute, pick your favorite prop. So I think so far are liking the rebounds. He's at 0.28 total rebounds per minute without Luka on the court this season. So you take that 0.28 and then you go over to a site like this one and you pull up a projected minutes, so 32 minutes, right? Fantasy Labs has them at 32 minutes. So you take that 32 minutes and you multiply it by 0.28. So let's do that. I'll do it right here from my phone. 0.28 times 32 minutes. I've got him at 8.96 rebounds. So about 9 rebounds. Let's round it up. Just call it 9 rebounds, which would put him over 8.5. So maybe he doesn't play 36 minutes. Maybe he only plays 32 like Fantasy Labs is projecting. He's at 10.2 at 36 minutes. He's at about 9 rebounds if he plays 32 minutes. So there you go. Kind of gives you an idea. Again, not perfect. It's not going to be the end all be all. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but kind of gives you an idea of how to use the tool and how it could become helpful for you when you do your player research, especially when you have a bunch of players out on a particular team or one key guy out like Luka Doncic tonight. So hopefully that helps you out. I still think KP's rebounds are the way to go. Just based on what we've done here together. We did the research here together. Just looking like the best way to play Kristaps Porzingis, in my opinion. Ibrahim Yusuf says, Patrick Beverly under rebounds. Patrick Beverly under rebounds. We got Pat Beverly up on the board for rebounds? Yes, we do. He's at 4 boards versus the Denver Nuggets tonight. In his last 5 games, 4 rebounds or less in 5 straight games. Four rebounds or less in 5 straight games. So yeah, I would definitely have to say that the under for Patrick Beverly would be the way that I would be looking to go here. If we go to the point guard position, we head over to rebounds and we go find the Denver Nuggets. Ooh, could be a little bit of a trap. They're actually giving up 9 rebounds per game. 9 rebounds per game, which is the second most in their last 7 games to opposing point guards. Be careful. Be careful with Pat Beverly going under on his rebounds. I mean, he is a point guard, so like we're not too concerned with him pulling in a whole bunch of boards. I've got him at 4.4 projected boards. At 4.5 rebounds, he's a minus 135 to go under, which is why he's at 4 rebounds on PrizePicks. So for me, it's going to depend on the D'Angelo Russell news. Is D'Lo in or out? All right. Big Twin, JC, Bobby Portis rebounds, over or under? Big Twin JC. Liking some Bobby P tonight. Well, we know without Giannis around that Bobby Portis should have a clearer path to rebounds. I'm not seeing Bobby Portis up on the board just yet. I'll just pull a projection for you to kind of help you out if they've got him. Oh, they don't have him up yet. Let's refresh the board. Let's see what happens here. Maybe they're waiting on some of this Milwaukee news. Yeah, Portis is not up yet. I don't have a projection yet for Bobby P. He's not up on the PrizePicks board, but yeah, I think it makes sense. Without Giannis around, Bobby Portis should find a lot more rebounds tonight. You guys are talking some Jared Vanderbilt rebounds. Jared Vanderbilt. He's been crushing some rebounds in some of his games, but it's kind of cooled off in his last 3 games at 8.5 boards in the last 5 at least. Just a 40% cover rate, averaging 9.6. But you could see in some of these games, 15 and 13 rebound upside for Jared Vanderbilt. So we can look at this matchup here against Denver. He's more of a power forward. Obviously, Karl Anthony Towns playing the center role for the Minnesota Timberwolves. We go find the Denver Nuggets here. They're giving up about 10.2 rebounds per game. So for me, I don't know that that's enough of an edge or ceiling for Jared Vanderbilt. But let's get you a projection here. I got him projected for 10.8 rebounds. And at 8.5 boards, I'm minus 135 to go over. I think this will be more of a sweat than the projections and the money seem to indicate, but this game does have a pretty good total and is expected to kind of stay close, so I don't mind you maybe taking a shot here on some Jared Vanderbilt over 8.5 boards. Capella. Anthony wants to know Capella points or Capella rebounds. I'm going to say we talked about Capella rebounds, looked very good at 13.5. He's been showing great form in his last 4 games at 14 or more rebounds in 4 straight. I like the rebounds. You're asking about his points. Look, one thing that you could do too, don't feel like you got to do this or that, right? It could be this and that. Meaning, maybe you make one entry with Clint Capella over on points. And if you really like his rebounds too, you make another entry and hedge to Clint Capella's rebounds. You could do both. You don't have to do one or the other. At 12.5 points in his last 5 games, though, just a one out of 5. 1 out of 5, so a 20% hit rate in his last 5 games. So he's not scoring quite as much. But the Orlando Magic, I think, give up a pretty good amount of points to opposing centers. Let's look. Decent, 21.6, so they're kind of down toward the middle of the pack in the last 7 games. I would say that their rebounds might be, they're definitely ranking higher or lower, however you want to look at it, in terms of rebounds. So for me, I think I would probably go rebounds on Clint Capella, but I don't mind you playing either. You could go both. 13.6 is his projected points. At 12.5 points across 3 different books, they're all taking the under, minus 120, minus 115. So I think I'm feeling a little more confident about the boards, but, I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Ibrahim is liking some Jokic over on rebounds. We talked about the assists looking very good for Nikola Jokic. Let's go look at the rebounds for Joker tonight. He's facing off against Karl Anthony Towns and Jared Vanderbilt. Will Jokic be able to find enough rebounds to hit the over? He needs 13 tonight to hit the over. In his last 5 games, he has hit the over in 60% of those games. 14.4 rebounds per game puts him nearly 2 rebounds higher than his line tonight at 12.5. So let's go look at this matchup. Obviously, he's a center. We'll go find the Minnesota Timberwolves. Boy, oh boy, they're giving up nearly 18 rebounds per game to opposing centers. That's the 4th most in the last 7 games. So to call this a plus matchup might be a little bit of an understatement for Joker. He's going to have a big game tonight. I mean, that's what it's looking like, right? We like the assists. We like the rebounds for sure. Minnesota giving up nearly 18 boards per game. Let's pull up a projection here for Jokic. Got him projected for 12.3. Now, out on your favorite sports book, he's at 13.5 boards, and people are smashing the under at 13.5, but we're getting him at 12.5. one rebound less than where you're going to find them out on the sports book. So a little bit of value here. Projected for 12.3, that's fine. I ain't worried about that. That's close enough for me to want to go ahead and smash that over on 12.5. I think we do. This matchup's looking great. Like Tony the Tiger great. Kyle's mentioning Terry Rozier's fantasy score. I'm still taking the wait and see approach on Scary Terry. He's at 31 today. 31 fantasy points. 5 straight games where he's went over 31 fantasy points. Now, he had a layoff between December 1st and December 13th, almost 2 weeks. Comes back against Dallas, pretty tough team, right? 32.8 fantasy points. Goes over. Barely over. But he did go over. So he's not showing the form maybe that he was showing in the 3 games prior to that long layoff. God, I hate when PrizePicks does that. When they upload more props, it knocks us off our square here. Anyway, maybe you take a shot on Terry Rozier, but for me, I don't know that I'm like completely there yet on feeling comfortable on Terry Rozier. Let's go look at the San Antonio Spurs and see how many fantasy points per game they give up to opposing point guards. About 43.7. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to get all 43, right? He's got to share those with the other point guards on the team, whoever they may be. I know LaMelo Ball is also out. Ish Smith is also out. But Gordon Hayward's kind of been serving as like a fill-in point guard. Kind of runs the offense at times. So, I don't know. Maybe you can. Maybe you take a shot here on Terry Rozier. Matchup's decent. I got him projected for about 34 fantasy points. So definitely cross-reference on some of those other sites that offer fantasy point projections. And make sure that you're using FanDuel projections when you do that. Michael Collier saying Jakob Poeltl over on rebounds versus the weak Charlotte Hornets front court. Well, we know that playing big dudes versus the Charlotte Hornets has worked out. And we also know that Jakob Poeltl is a good rebounder. So at 10.5 boards, maybe we go back to him. My only concern is, how does he match up against Charlotte? In other words, is he going to get game scripted out? Will he have a role in this game? Or will his minutes be reduced because he doesn't quite match up with anybody on the Hornets? Maybe he's just this big, plodding, slow giant, and he doesn't really like match up with the Charlotte Hornets very well. We know the Hornets like to run and gun. They're kind of an up-tempo team, right? So maybe Poeltl doesn't quite find as many minutes tonight against a small Hornets team just due to matchup reasons. But at 10.5 boards, he's covered in 2 out of 5. That's a 40% hit rate. We could go take a look here and go to the rebound numbers for the last 7 games. Charlotte giving up 16.3 boards per game. Pretty good, putting them like, right around the top 10 most giving in terms of rebounds to the center position. So I don't know. That's my only concern with him, is that maybe this game just isn't built for him. I have him projected at 9.8 boards, and at 10.5, he is a betting favorite at minus 130 to go under. So there you go. Just, a little bit of info. Eli says LeBron has been going off the past 5 games. Any thoughts on that? Well, I'm going to take the wait and see approach on the Los Angeles Lakers. Got to find out more about Anthony Davis. That's going to be my approach. I'm a wait and see guy, if you haven't noticed. Wait and see on guys who are like, taking long layoffs and now they're back in the lineup. Wait and see on injury news. I'm just a wait and see guy. I like to have all the information, make the most informed, most educated decisions that I can. So I'm not one of those ones that's going to jump on stuff early and be a speculator. That's my position on the Lakers tonight. Stephen Mayfield, Wendell Carter Jr. over 2.5 assists. Now, why would we want to do that? Well, I think because there's been a little bit of a shift on the Orlando Magic. The last couple games, anyway, it seems like Franz Wagner, Mr. assist guy, we love clicking the over on his assists, has kind of come down a little bit. And the Magic have been running their offense through Wendell Carter Jr., especially against the Clippers the other day. For whatever reason, they've been putting the ball in his hands more, letting him kind of make some decisions at the center position, trying to get guys freed up, guys like Wagner, guys like Cole Anthony. I just don't know that I want to take the over on Wendell Carter Jr.'s assists. Let's look at it, though. 2.5 assists, 80% hit rate in the last 5 games, averaging 4.2 assists. So even going back to Sacramento here, you could see that Carter, 6, 7 assists, 3 against the Lakers, kind of comes back down to earth a little bit. I don't know if we're starting to see a new trend for Wendy. That's what I call him. I call him Wendy. And I mean that in the best way possible. Wendy, no offense if you're watching this. I doubt you are, but no offense. You are one of my favorite players on the Magic. Anyway, looking at the assists allowed by the Atlanta Hawks to the center position, they are giving up 3.5. You got to figure Mo Bamba, you can kind of throw him in there in that center position. At 3.5, maybe Carter doesn't get all of them. Maybe he ends up with 3, though. Maybe he gets 3. Let's look at the assist prop projection here for Carter. Got him projected for 2.7, but he is a betting favorite to go under 2.5 on 2 different books. So I don't know if this is the start of a new trend for Wendell Carter Jr., if now he's become sort of this point center where he's facilitating, running the offense, finding himself dishing out, the basketball. I don't know if that's the start of a new thing or what, but there definitely has been a little bit of a shift here lately for the Orlando Magic. Wagner's assists kind of been down. Carter's assists, as you can see, have been up. But what about Wendell Carter Jr.'s rebounds? He's at 10, going up against Atlanta. He's been Mr. Consistent, and I like playing props when a guy's coming off of a down game, a below average game. And that's what that was. 8 rebounds against the Los Angeles Lakers in his last game, falling short. But if you look at the previous 4 games, 10 or more in 4 straight games. So overall, 80% hit rate at 10 or more rebounds. He's got his work cut out for him. We know Clint Capella's a tough dude. He's a tough fella. Let's go to the center position, see how many rebounds the Atlanta Hawks give up to opposing big men. Maybe this is a decent spot for Wendell Carter Jr. They give up about 14.6. So you got to imagine that he and Mo Bamba will kind of split that. They're kind of interchangeable, power forward / center. They start Carter and Bamba side by side together. So let's look at the power forward position and see how many rebounds Atlanta gives up to opposing power forwards. About 11.2. So maybe you could take a shot here at Wendell Carter Jr.'s rebounds. He's projected for 11.6. Not 9.5 boards on 2 different books. He is a minus 150 to go over, which is why he is at 10 up on PrizePicks. But he has shown 12, 14, 16 rebound upside against some tough teams. Golden State, Clippers. So coming off of a down game, maybe Wendell Carter Jr.'s in a bounce back spot. But yeah, I don't know about them assists, man. Kind of want to see a little bit more out of Wendell Carter Jr. Again, I'm the wait and see guy. I want to see I want to take the wait and see approach. Debnesh, we don't get just steals, unfortunately, on PrizePicks, but what I will do for you is see if I can pull up just a steal prop rather for Gobert. I got him projected for 0.8. At 0.5 steals, they expect him to find 1. At least those people that are betting on this prop. Minus 165 over 0.5 steals. Darius Garland at 19.5 points. Ooh, Darius Garland at 19.5 points versus the Houston Rockets. Could be an interesting matchup. His scoring has been shaky as of late, averaging 15.6 points per game in his last 5 games, putting him under 19.5 by nearly 4 points. He has only covered once, and that was 24 points against the Chicago Bulls. So Darius Garland's points, I don't know, guys. I don't know. Against Houston, though, they're giving up the 5th most points per game in the last 7 games to the point guard position, nearly 26 points per game. So definitely got to say that the matchup is a friendly one here for Darius Garland. Of course, Houston, they're without all of their top guards. Eric Gordon, Kevin Porter Jr., Jalen Green, they're all out. Of course, John Wall's still on the team. He's not going to get in the lineup despite all the injuries. So Darius Garland should have a pretty soft and easy peasy matchup tonight. So I could see you going over 19.5 on my man Darius Garland here. I got him projected at exactly 19.5 points. But at 19.5 on two different books, he's a betting favorite to go over. Minus 125, minus 130. Now, one book has him at 20.5. So at 19.5, we're getting a little bit of value here on PrizePicks. At 20.5, they are taking the under. So it's kind of setting up, if you go and look at what's in between 19.5 and 20.5, 20 points, right? Setting up for maybe about 20 points tonight for Darius Garland. So I don't mind you taking an over on him. The matchup just looks too sweet. Hunter says, what's up, Degens? What's up to you, Hunter? Trying to work my way through these. Let's try and buzz through them a little bit quicker here. Won't be as in-depth with the rest of these because we've already been on here for nearly an hour and a half. Cole Anthony over 2.5 threes against Atlanta. Last 5 games, 80% hit rate. Let's just pull up a projection for you on Cole Anthony. Projected for 2.6 at 2.5 3-point makes. He is a minus 130 to go over. So Willand, am I saying that right? Willand TV, maybe you go over on Cole Anthony. 3-point makes. I think his points are also a very good look. Yeah, Hunter, we talked about Monty Morris over 1.5 3-point makes, looking like a good way to go. Franz Wagner said is liking Franz Wagner over points, rebounds, and assists. Well, I could tell you that Franz Wagner's fantasy points have been good to me lately. Let's take a look at the points, rebounds, and assists for Wagner. He's at 22.1. His line's at 23.5. So they got him projected to go slightly under 23.5, but you got a couple of books out there where at 23.5, the money's coming in on the over. And Wagner's been playing very good basketball lately, so I don't mind you taking that one either. Hunter, Brandon Ingram boards. Brandon Ingram boards. Dang, I lost you. Where'd you go? Jeez, chat. You guys are just... You guys might have to start using some super chats up in here if you've got those hard-hitting, hard-pressing questions. I'm just saying, because I'm not going to be able to get to everybody's question every single time. Ingram over on boards. Brandon Ingram. Let's go find BI. 5.5 rebounds in his last 5 games, has gone over in 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 at 5.5. Let's pull up a projection for you on Brandon Ingram. He's projected for exactly 5.5. Not seeing any action on the over or the under, so I'm probably going to fade that. I think there's some better plays that we've already discussed. Yep, Jeff, we definitely talked about some Morris threes, liking that. James R., you think Garrison Matthews finds 1 assist tonight? Garrison Matthews at 1 assist tonight. He's hit 2 and 1 in his last 2 games, so there's a chance. There's a chance here against Cleveland that maybe Garrison Matthews finds 1 dime. Seems like the ultimate D-Gen type of bet here. I got him projected for 0.7 assists. Not really seeing any action on the over or under, so it's going to be one of those like a touchdown prop, right? You never know what's going to happen. Could it hit? Sure, I guess it could. You know, got him projected to go slightly over. So bonus over 17.5 points without Giannis. Yes, we've been liking some Sabo points lately, and he keeps coming through. He's at 18.5, though, over on PrizePicks. So the last 5 games have been very good for Domantas Sabonis, averaging almost 24 points per game, 80% hit rate. Quickly, we will pull up a projection for you. I've got Sabonis projected for 20.3. Now, at 18.5 points, he's a minus 125 to go over. I'm also seeing him at 19.5 points, but at 19.5, minus 122 to go under. So it's looking like it's setting up for about 19 to 20 points tonight for Sabo. Don't mind you taking an over on him. Sed's liking Desmond Bane over on points. Always seems to bounce back after a lame performance. Yeah, Desmond Bane's been kind of a guy who's been difficult to kind of figure out game in and game out. Do we have him up on the board yet on PrizePicks? He may not be up here just yet. Not seeing him. Not seeing Desmond Bane. I'll just pull up a projection for you on Bane today. Got him projected for about 15 points. 17.5 points is his line out there on your favorite sports book. He's a minus 114 over 17.5. So I don't know. MF June, Jayshawn Tate, under rebounds. At 5.5 rebounds, has not been getting it done. Okay. Did they give us Jayshawn Tate's assist again today? That is a good question. Don't see him. Of course not. Why would they? It's been hitting at a very high rate. Uh, let's see what other props you guys are talking about. Lauri Markkanen under 5.5 boards. Markkanen under 5.5 boards. We'll continue through the lightning round here. He has been going under 5.5 rebounds the majority of the last 5 games. Just a 20% hit rate in terms of going over. 80% hit rate if you're liking the under on Markkanen tonight. Pulling up a projection for you on Lauri. He got him projected for 6.4, but at 5.5, he's a betting favorite to go under. There you go. I don't know about Anthony Davis just yet, JC, but I'm going to wait and see what happens. Trae Young, yep, I like Trae Young's points. I like Trae Young's 3-point makes. Keaton, liking some Donovan Mitchell threes. I'm assuming you mean the over on Donovan Mitchell threes. You didn't specify, but got a feeling you probably want to go over on Donovan Mitchell's threes because in the last 5 games, Donovan Mitchell has hit 100% of the time at 3-point makes, averaging 4.8, so nearly 5 3-point makes. This dude has been on fire. On fire. Loving that. Good call out. That's definitely a prop to keep your eye out on. He's projected for 3.8 3-point makes, but at 3.5, a betting favorite at -160 to go under. Okay, there you go, Donovan Mitchell. Yeah, I think we talked about Darius Garland's rebounds earlier at 2.5. I think this is a good spot to potentially target it over on Garland. So hopefully that helps you out, Javier. Don't mind that play at all. Arrington, what's up, my dude? Mike Conley, 5.5 assists. Remember once upon a time, Mike Conley was automatic at covering 5.5 assists. Do you guys remember that? I remember that, and it was a great time. What a time to be alive. At 5.5 assists in his last 5 games, covering in 60% of those games. He's averaging 6 assists per game, facing the Clippers tonight. Let's pull up a projection for Mr. Michael Conley Jr. Got him projected for 6.5, -120 to go over at 5.5. What else you guys got? Talked about Sabonis, like the Sabonis points. Jakob Poeltl over on points. Again, I kind of wonder how he matches up today with this Charlotte Hornets squad. I mean, it seems like, this big old, center would have an advantage over the Hornets, and he probably does. He probably does, but I just don't know that I love the matchup for him. I question how many minutes he'll actually see tonight. Maybe a reduced role. Yeah, a couple people liking the Jayshawn Tate under rebound prop, saying Jayshawn has not been hitting. Now, the Rockets are pretty depleted. No Eric Gordon tonight. Maybe no Christian Wood tonight. He was on the injury report. Jayshawn Tate at 5.5 boards seems a bit too high. Hasn't covered in 5 straight games. There's a reason why his line is what it is, right? He's projected for 6.5 boards. People are betting the over at 5.5 boards. So definitely use Court IQ, run those reports once we get a better idea of who's in, who's out for Houston. But somebody's going to have to rebound the basketball for Houston. I don't know who it's going to be. Maybe it's not Jayshawn Tate, but he is a betting favorite and projected to go over 5.5. Franz Wagner over fantasy points. I think we've talked about him a little bit. We like his points, rebounds, and assists. He's a betting favorite to go over his PRA line tonight. Oop, I know I definitely passed Wagner. He's up at the top, right? Wagner, 28.5 fantasy points, has gone over in 4 for 5, so 80% hit rate. I'll pull a projection up for you on Wagner. One of my favorite players. 27.4, though, is his projection. So definitely cross-reference that. Check some other sites on Franz Wagner's fantasy points. Who else? Kyle, agree. Bigs against small ball teams don't get the full load of minutes. Yeah, it could be tricky with Jakob Poeltl. Monty Morris threes, we like that one for sure. Westbrook under fantasy. Well, I'm going to wait and see on Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis is out, then I'm going to probably lean more toward the over on Westbrook and LeBron. But yeah, I like Jokic assists. Will's Fish Room. What do you think about Westbrook on points? Again, gotta wait and see on Anthony Davis. Don't know yet. I'm not gonna try to mislead you or sell you on anything until I get more information on Anthony Davis. That's just how I roll, guys. If you have like a gut feeling that AD is going to be in or AD is going to be out, go ahead, speculate. Take your picks now on these Lakers, but I'm not that guy. I'm going to wait and see. Yeah, Hunter, the closest we get to points, rebounds, and assists is going to be fantasy points, which also include steals and blocks. So, Anthony saying, I've never been this unsure about NBA than today. Where were you last night is what I want to know. Because last night for me, I was super unsure about a lot of stuff. Super unsure. Buzzing through just a few more, guys. Some ones that like stand out to me. Anthony says he doesn't see or have one good play yet. This is wild. Rewind the video. There's a lot of good picks tonight. Agree with that. I think there's some good picks in there. We talked about Jokic over rebounds, Jokic over assists. Hard to go against Westbrook, though. Dude can go off. He definitely can go off. Gobert over on points. I see you mentioning Gobert over on points as we look to kind of wrap the stream up, kind of wind it down here. Let's go find Rudy Gobert. 14.5 points his last 5 games. Just a 60% hit rate. Not great. Good. Decent, I guess you could call it. Let's pull Gobert's projected points up real quick. I got him going for 16-2, but he is a betting favorite to go under 14.5 at -115 and -118, respectively. AD is probable. Mason says Anthony Davis is probable. Okay, well then maybe you do consider some unders on some Lakers then. Eli says last night was painful. I said go light. I said definitely try to go light. Basley under points. We discussed Hunter. It does look pretty good at 10.5 points. Don't mind it. But no Lou Dort for OKC, so be careful with Basley. AD just popped up on boards. Good to know, good to know. So they're adding Anthony Davis to the PrizePicks board as we speak. All right, guys. I think I'm going to get out of here. If you haven't slapped the like button yet, do so on your way out kindly. And I thank you for doing so in advance. I appreciate all you joining. This stream went for over an hour and a half. Hopefully it was packed full of different props that lead to success tonight, that lead to some winning plays. Definitely do some more research and keep an eye on the news. That's going to be the theme, the story of today. Keep an eye on the injury news, the illness news, whatever type of news you want to call it. There could be some pending news that will shake things up on today's NBA slate. Appreciate you being here. As always, love you guys for supporting the channel. And we will catch you tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time, right back here for more NBA player prop research. Thanks again, guys. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.